Welcome back, and thanks for checking in on this beautiful afternoon. I'm Thomas McNulty, your host here at McNulty's Book Corral, where I often talk about Westerns, but mostly I talk about a wide variety of literature, and sometimes I talk about films. Today I'm doing both. I'm dedicating this episode to lovers of adventure, young and old alike, with a tip of the hat to the late great Fraser Thomas, who hosted Family Classics on WGN Channel 9 in Chicago for many years. It was on that program that I saw the film The Adventures of Robin Hood for the first time. Now let's go back in time and let's cross the sea, where we'll find ourselves in merry old England, where a legend has blossomed to life. A legend about a hero and his merry band of friends, about a man who steals from evil men and provides for those less fortunate than himself. The legends call him Robin Hood because of his red cloak, but he mostly wore green. He carries a long bow and a quiver of arrows, along with a sword of perfect steel and the sharpest of points. And now, if you are quite ready, let us begin. Okay, here we go again. Today we're talking about Robin Hood, and the reason we're talking about Robin Hood is because of another one of those wonderful Fleetway collections, Fleetway comic book collections that has come out that I acquired. But I thought that it would be fun if I did something a little different with this episode. In addition to talking about that, I'll recommend a couple of books, one or two you may have seen before. But I wanted to do something, encourage you to do something really, is to have a Robin Hood film festival in your home, which you can easily do. So let's start out recommending a book. And because there are so many books about the Robin Hood legend out there, and I've read a lot, some of them are quite good, some of them are okay. The issue that comes up with any type of historical figure in modern times when you're looking at the books related to them, quite often it becomes an agenda item for the author to make a name for themselves. That's happened with a lot of different historical people. In the film industry, in history, Robin Hood, the mythical character of Robin Hood, looking at the origins of Robin Hood, tons of books. I'm only going to recommend one. I'm going to recommend this short little thing because it has a good bibliography with some of the other books. You can find this easily. Sean McGlynn, Robin Hood, A True Legend, gives you really, this is a thesis paper in book form. It's really it lays it all out. It gives you an overview of the research done on the Robin Hood legend. Who are the historical figures that probably inspired the Robin Hood legend? And he gives you 4 here, I think. And I think that's fine. I think that's all you really need. We'll never know. I mean, unless there's a document that shows up and says so-and-so was the inspiration for Robin Hood that's 500 years old. I doubt that's ever going to happen. So we don't know who Robin Hood was or where the legends originated. It's just a matter of doing that academic research to look at the available sources. Again, I've read a lot of those books. Most of them I really don't care for. His bibliography is pretty clean cut, and the books he recommends, especially by 1 or 2 of the authors, I think are really good. But this is a good overview. It's short. So there's your first book. So Robin Hood, we have The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle. I've shown this edition before. This is the 1933 edition. This is the Brandywine edition, which features a cover by N.C. Wyeth and a front page. So the cover is this front piece by N.C. Wyeth, and Howard Pyle's illustrations are all included in this edition. I saw over on Michael K. Vaughn's channel, which is a wonderful channel if you don't watch it. You should. He had a newer edition that reproduces the Howard Pyle text and the illustrations. I almost went on Amazon and bought it when I saw he had it. I don't need it. I'm trying to cut back. But there is a really good edition out that Michael K. Vaughn has, so he can tell you how to get that. I think it's on Amazon. Anyways, Howard Pyle, with his illustrations and his text, he really created the prototype for the modern version of Robin Hood. He is solely responsible for that image and for those tales, which are fictional, based upon whatever legends he read or was familiar with. By the way, his illustrations were beautiful. And this is a great book. You know, this is one of those boyhood adventures, a storybook boyhood adventure that will thrill young readers and old readers alike. You know, it's just really wonderful. Really a fun book, and it is easily found. So this one has an influence on a film called Robin Hood, directed by Alan Dwan and written by Douglas Fairbanks Sr., who wrote the screenplay under a pen name. And this is a silent film that is directly influenced by Howard Pyle. The imagery and the sets are expansive and at times breathtaking. A lot of the scenes that we see here for the first time we're going to see in the Errol Flynn version and some of these other versions, especially those scenes of the merry men in the trees when they're ambushing people and they're jumping down, swinging down on ropes and jumping out of the trees. That stems from here. Howard Pyle, and then you have Fairbanks bringing that alive as a visual. There's a lot to say about Fairbanks, and I don't want to go into it today, but I interviewed Douglas Fairbanks Jr. years ago. I got to be quite friendly with him, and I was going to do a dual biography of Fairbanks Sr. and Jr., which I abandoned that idea years ago, but I am going to, next year I'm going to start working on the collection of the Hollywood material that I have, and that will be one of the sections. I'll have a section on a lot of the people that I've interviewed, obviously, and then I'll have a section on long sections on various other things relating to my time running around in Hollywood. And I hope that'll be interesting. I'm going to start it next year. It'll take about 3 years to pull that material out of storage, and I'm going to rewrite everything and put it out in a book. I'll probably put it out myself because I'm at the age where I don't care about publishers. But Fairbanks Sr. and Fairbanks Jr., real quick, and I know I'm off topic here. By the way, this is Kino video. There is a Blu-ray transfer available. I have not seen it yet. This is just okay. I don't consider it as good as it could have been. This was a box set that Kino put out with the Mark of Zorro, the Three Musketeers, Robin Hood, the Thief of Baghdad, Don Q, Son of Zorro, and the Black Pirate were all included. If you're interested in a really influential film besides Robin Hood, several authors and notable personalities that I've interviewed over the years cite The Thief of Baghdad with Fairbanks as one of those, and that would include Philip Jose Farmer, who I met and I knew quite well. I remained in contact with him for years. I would get a Christmas card from him every year. He lived here in Illinois. So he told me, and I have this all on audio, and I have it in some of the letters he wrote to me, The Thief of Baghdad was one of those films that really inspired his imagination. And I think I'd have to look up his birthday, but I think he saw it long after it was, quite a few years after it was released. So anyways, Fairbanks is something to consider. So the Fairbanks version leads us directly to the Errol Flynn version from 1938. This is the Blu-ray, and it takes the same type of costuming, the lavish sets, Technicolor, and they put this together into the very best film version of the Robin Hood legend. And so I think most of you are familiar with this version. This is the version that I first saw that would lead me down a long and winding road. I previously showed you the book that was released by Sarah Hawkes Sterling, which was originally published in the early 1920s and re-released in 1938 to coincide and help promote the Errol Flynn Warner Brothers production, which remains the best film version of Robin Hood yet made. But for the film festival out there, we're not quite done. The Bandit of Sherwood Forest with Cornel Wilde playing the son of Robin Hood. This is 1946. This is a Technicolor film. This is a continuation from Columbia Pictures, not Warner Brothers, of the Robin Hood legend in Technicolor, and it follows the same costuming and style of the Warner Brothers classic, and it's quite a good film, actually. I think it is. It has that storybook flavor. It's colorful. It's exciting. There's a good scene at the end where Cornel Wilde is sword fighting Henry Daniell, and it is entertaining, really. And this film was based upon this book, Son of Robin Hood in Nottingham, by Paul Castleton. Castleton, I can't pronounce that either, can I? And this is what was the year of this? This book was 1942, and it's okay. This book is written in a very formal old style for younger readers. This is a book for younger readers, published by Couples in Leon out of New York. It has illustrations. Again, this is what they called a juvenile back then. And it begins with a very interesting paragraph to give you an idea on how the writing is really kind of intentionally old-fashioned. "'Tis a sultry summer's day. The dusty highway winds lazily o'er hill and dale and fadeth away into the haze." And the entire book is written in that style, that old English style. It doesn't work completely. It does slow the narrative down because the author didn't quite have a command of it, but it works well enough that if you're interested in Robin Hood fiction, in literature based upon the legends, this one goes hand in hand with The Bandit of Sherwood Forest with Cornel Wilde, because this book was the inspiration for this film. And moving right along here, the next one is also fascinating, and this is the Rogues of Sherwood Forest with John Derrick, which was also based upon the same book. He is the son of Robin Hood. This is also interesting Technicolor film. It's a storybook fantasy. It's well done. I like this film a lot. I like Cornel Wilde. I like John Derrick, who himself is on record as stating he hated being an actor. He was quite good. Now with this film, film buffs love the trivia. As you can see, and I'll have a scan coming up, this is Alan Hale with John Derrick. This was Alan Hale's final film performance. He died after the making of this film, and this is his third and final appearance as Little John. He first appeared as Little John in the Douglas Fairbanks silent film. Of course, we all know he's with Errol Flynn in The Adventures of Robin Hood from 1938 and many other movies, because he was a friend of Errol Flynn and they made films together throughout the 1940s. And Alan Hale concludes his career, sadly, with this film. I say sadly because he died. It's a good film. This film and the Cornel Wilde film are really good entertainment. So this is a good film festival. You play the Errol Flynn version, play Cornel Wilde, and then do the John Derrick version, and you have a Technicolor storybook fantasy. If you have any young boys, even the girls, your young girls will love the costumes that the females are wearing, these beautiful gowns, customized for Technicolor. This is how they did films back then. They will enjoy that. Trust me. All right, so then we're getting to the 50s. We're getting to Richard Green. Richard Green appeared in The Adventures of Robin Hood on television in the UK for 143 episodes. These were black and white episodes. They're actually quite entertaining. They have that charm to them. And there is a box set, by the way, available on the entire series. I think it's $40 or $50. So for 143 episodes, that's not a bad price. I almost picked it up, but I'm trying to cut back. That show ran from 1955 to 59 in the UK. And then in 1960, right after the show ended, he appeared in Sword of Sherwood Forest, another Technicolor film, By the way, this is part of a film collection series that Columbia Pictures put out called Robin Hood Collection, the Robin Hood Collection. And Richard Green appears for the final time as Robin Hood in The Sword of Sherwood Forest. So those 4 films with, with Fairbanks, you really kind of have to look at that. But if you're interested in the Technicolor storybook fantasies, Errol Flynn, Cornell Wilde, John Derrick, and Richard Green, those films are just highly entertaining and joyful for young viewers and a few of us old coots as well. We're not done. No, I know you're thinking, oh, but that was enough. Wasn't that enough, Tom? We're not done. Now, obviously, this is not a definitive collection that I'm talking about with the books and with the films, but there's a few more. Next up is Costner's version, Kevin Costner in 1991. And you know who is in this? We have Alan Rickman in this as the villain, and he steals the show. He's the reason to watch the film. Oddly enough, this is a good film. I know the critics tore Costner apart. Whether you like him or not, it's a good film, and it has something of the flavor of the films I just mentioned. It has something of that colorful storybook flavor to it. And for, what was it, 90, what was this? This was 91, I think. It's amazing. You have Morgan Freeman is in it. It's not a bad movie. Again, Costner, to me, is okay. He does his job. It's other elements of the film I think work better. So it's, I had to mention it. Then we had Russell Crowe in 2010. This is an excellent film. Now we're into the ultra realism. Gone now is the storybook fantasy aspect of the Robin Hood legend. And yet Russell Crowe as an actor, I think, perfectly embodies the spirit of Robin Hood. He's a tough guy. He can play it tough. I actually met him at a 30-Odd Foots of Grunt concert and spoke to him briefly a very long time ago with my wife. He's an interesting guy. I like Russell Crowe as an actor. I think it's a good film. We're looking at modernism here now. It's a little more gritty and realistic than the Technicolor storybook fantasies that I was talking about. And then finally, I'm going to end it with 2018 Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx in Robin Hood. And this is one of the more recent ones. This is a good movie. Again, we have more gritty realism involved here. The storybook fantasy is gone. But if you're going to do a Robin Hood film festival in your home, start in the morning, get a lot of beer, and load up and beer and popcorn and pizza for lunch, and you can have a Robin Hood film festival and end it with this one. There are certainly others. I know there are others. And when it comes to the world of fiction, there are too many. Back in the late 80s and into the 90s, I was going to buy everything that came out fiction-wise, any new variation of Robin Hood. And I didn't like the books, so I got rid of them. I eventually just dumped them, gave them away because they just weren't very good. So anyway, finally the best of the best. Outlawed from the pages of The Sun and Others, Robin Hood. Shenanigans in Sherwood Forest from the Fleetway Comics Archive. This is the reason for the episode. I just love the Fleetway books, and these collections are really pricey, and they are well worth your time. The artwork in here, and look at the end papers. So these were the digest comics that I've shown you in other episodes what they look like. I actually have one of these, but I don't have one that's reprinted here. I actually have, from 1967, I have Buster Adventure Library, Robin Hood the Bold. So this is what the comics looked like. They were all digest sized from Fleetway, and they were black and white illustrated stories. And I love the artwork in these books. They're very good. So they're really pricey. These books, these are hard to come by. These Fleetways don't always go on sale, even on eBay. It's occasionally you'll find a dealer in the United States that will have one. Occasionally, but this is fantastic. So look at this. They're doing these collections right. These books I believe they all had a limited print run. And look at the end papers on the back here. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this. And then the stories, there are multiple stories here, and they feature multiple artists. And they include Reginald Heed, by the way, Jesus Blasco, Fred Holmes, and Reg Bunn, who I've talked about with one of the other, Patrick Nicole, and so forth. These are John Miller Watt. These illustrations are, I'll have a couple of pictures that I'll take to give you a better flavor for these. Robin Hood, Lord of Sherwood. These are really good comic books. So these are, some of these have more than 2 panels per page. And the artwork varies, but it's all interesting artwork. And just to show you a little bit of this, again, I enjoyed this as much as the Captain Blood and the Western one I've shown you, because the stories are thoughtfully done. They're true to the character's legend. You know, they're obviously inspired by the films. There's actually a sea monster in one of the stories in this one, which really was a little bit of a variation that was quite clever. But you know, the artwork is good, and I'll have some pictures coming up. Look at this splash page, Robin Hood and the Black Dragon. Just marvelous, you know. So if you can find these at an affordable price, I would recommend you get them. If you look at this back clip from an illustration, it clearly looks like Errol Flynn. And then, of course, Cornell Wilde and John Derrick were all meant to resemble Errol Flynn in those movies. Richard Green never did the mustache, as far as I know. I don't remember seeing a mustache in any of the television shows, and certainly not in the film version. All right, so there's one more film version I don't have. Hammer Films has just released their 1960s, or was it the 50s, their version of Robin Hood, which was a color film. That was their first color film in a beautiful box set. I don't have it. It's really pricey. Maybe I'll get it and cover it in a different episode. But that's pretty much it as far as my recommendation for some Robin Hood books and a film festival, with this as really, gosh, I wish they weren't so damn expensive, but and I wish I owned all of these. I only have this one Robin Hood digest, which sets me down the rabbit hole. You know, you go down the rabbit hole when you're a collector, and you get this really cool stuff. I enjoyed this more than anything DC or Marvel has put out in years, really. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's the truth. So there you go, my friends. Robin Hood, the legendary Robin Hood. I hope you enjoyed this look, and you found it interesting. And I hope I shared some information about some of these books that have been put out, these Fleetway comic books that are being collected that are well worth your time. I just wish there wasn't a tariff on them. And even if there wasn't a tariff, the shipping would be astronomical from the UK. We need a distribution channel here in the United States where it's a little easier to manage. Anyway, stay well, my friends. Stay happy. Please feed your beautiful minds. Read some books.